How many variants of Kidd Bandit are there?
420.
No.
Without skipping a beat.
Here's our lovely guest now. Phenomenal. Promptly. Look at that hair.
Hello.
Hello. How is it going? I could not pull off that. Is that the teddy bear you practice submissions on?
Yeah. This is Barry. Because I don't actually have time to keep doing jiu-jitsu classes anymore. This is my rolling buddy.
Rolling buddy. Have you tried any new submissions on them lately?
Actually, the last couple of ones I've been working on, I have had the luxury of having a training partner.
There you go.
But so no, but I do come up with a lot of submissions, with my teddy bear.
Spectacular. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, anytime. A new question I've been kicking off the show with lately is, what would you be doing if you were not here right now on the show?
I was playing I was playing computer games right now. It is my cheat day today, but yesterday was also my cheat day because
that's how I do it.
And I think it's gonna turn into a cheat week because I have been on the road nonstop for the last month.
Yeah.
I just did a three state tour with Oregon, Texas, and Nevada. So the traveling sucks.
I can imagine. Computer games. What are you, a Steam game? Steam guy?
Yeah. I was playing Patron. It's a city builder game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a one of the reasons why I don't stream yet is because I have a very niche video game interest.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I because I have such a very niche interest in what I play, I feel like I'm gonna bore everyone. So I'm working up the courage to start streaming soon.
It's tough. I used to stream video games. Now I don't anymore. I just kind of do this show. But it is that balance to stream/play something people are going to want to enjoy watching, but you also need to have fun as well. And some of the games I play, people don't like to watch, or at least didn't. And I don't know, I play by myself. I play Rust by myself, or The Forest I've been playing. I picked that up on the Steam.
Forest is a good one.
Yeah.
I remember the verse. I don't know how far along the game has come since I last played it, but I remember they had a mechanic where I think they just added the mechanic of being able to eat the cannibals.
Yeah.
So I started eating them.
Yeah, right.
And I started displaying their bodies in front of my fortress, and so it was cool because the game had an AI that made the cannibals scared of me because I've been eating them. I've been wearing their skin, and I'm like, oh, you're not. I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me, kind of scenario. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a bunch of friends that played it. I just never got around to getting it. And then the Steam Summer Sale is going on right now, and it was like half off or something.
Hey, got you too.
got you too. Line and sinker. Who is this?
Your wife.
Oh, it's my wife. I'm like, who is behind me? There's nothing in the washer. There's stuff in the dryer. Do not turn it on during the show because Lucas cleats are in there. Sure. Guess we'll do laundry. Why not? Oh, that's wonderful. But at least we have this on tape. That my wife actually does do the laundry. There is a big discussion down here that she doesn't do any of the laundry. But yeah, the Steam Summer Sale got me as well, and it's still going on. But
it's just that's the worst part is like when they offer bundles. They're like, hey, this game is only $5, but if you download the game and all the DLC, it's $20. But the true price of everything is like $100. So you better get it for $20 now. And you're like, it's only $20, but you do it for like 5 different franchises, and you're like, well, shit.
You're like,
just spend $100 on Steam.
Yeah, that's how they get their money. That's how they get you. Oh, phenomenal stuff. Yeah, that's probably what I'll be doing after this show, if I'm still awake. I'm old, get tired. But yeah, I mean, you just said you did a 3-state tour. You're literally okay. So I did a lot of research on you today. I get on tangents a lot and don't really follow my bullet points, so bear with me. Um, and so you said a 3-state tour. You what I would call a successful, hot, independent wrestler right now. You're everywhere, and by my calculations, that was like overnight. Like, did that happen too fast?
Oh yeah. I'm not gonna lie that I have no idea how it happened. I have no idea why it happened. Am I complaining? Kind of. And it's a weird thing to complain about, but like, do I think it happened too fast? Yeah. It sucks because no one in my mind at least, no one has experienced this amount of growth as fast as it happened for me with no corporate backing. So yeah, I know WWE. They hire talent. They have really no experience wrestling, whatsoever. Usually they're crossovers. Like they're crossing over from a social media platform. Like Eva Marie. Eva Marie was a model, right, or a dancer, I believe. That like they already had a good thing going for them in the Hollywood industry. They're either crossover from like sports, MMA, football, all that stuff. NBA now we've seen a lot. There's a former WNBA athlete that's in WWE that got signed recently, I believe.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's always a crossover from something. But as far as like someone that's not, involved with something corporate like that, like the Fed or the other major promotions in the world, like I think I'm the only one that kind of got this amount of like notoriety in such a short amount of time. And it's overwhelming because like there's no path, there's nobody to blaze that trail before myself, so there's no one I could look into,
Right.
so as a mentor, or look into as like, oh, so this is what they did, let me follow suit. The closest I could think of is Danhausen, who blew up majorly through their own creation, through their own branding, through their own hustle. And but that Danhausen wasn't a product of a year of virality. Danhausen was more on a gradual. Was it a fast gradual? Yes, absolutely, but it wasn't like a year compressed in a year like my ascent. So that makes it terrifying to be treading uncharted waters for myself. I was not ready. I was not ready. And I do agree that it did happen too fast. But I'm here and I'm alive, so it's not fatal.
You are persevering and inspirational, and a lot of you are inspiring people. Your social media game is through the roof. I mean, good Lord, you can work that Twitter machine like nobody else. Danhausen, great point. I can see the similarities. He didn't have the success right overnight, but it was kind of like sorry, Danhausen. At first, before you have the Danhausen that you have now, he was more that E-Fed type of character, is how I'll put it, I guess. I don't know.
Well, so am I. I'm also
True.
E-Fed type of character.
True.
I am my old E-Fed character brought to life. I usually tell people.
And but what you both got going for you, because that's great. What you got going for you is you can connect with people. You can make people get invested. You can make people feel the emotions for you. Same as with Danhausen. Watched a ton of your matches today. We'll get to the dark episode and some of the other things, the GCW stuff. But you're like, high flyer, high spots, high octane, kicks to the head. I get that. Everyone's doing that. How do you find set yourself apart and stand out in a wrestling world where, you know, everybody's doing that?
I had some great advice from Drexel, who I'm facing in Portland. So, well, I'm not facing Drexel. A version of me is facing Drexel.
We'll get to that. I was gonna lead with that question. I was gonna ask you, how many variants of Kidd Bandit are there?
420.
No,
without skipping a beat.
Well played. Well played. Yeah. Oh, that's great. It's all. I mean, the show's going downhill from here, right? I mean, we don't get any better than that. Oh, yeah. Yep. So, you got some great advice about standing out or something. I think that was my question.
Yeah. My goal was always to be one of the wrestlers to bring the performance / martial arts tricking into professional wrestling. And you see glimpses and bits of it, especially nowadays. There's a lot of that. First, like the prime example would be someone like Ninja Mac, who had a background. You can see it in the way Ninja Mac moves. There's a specific way a gymnast carries themselves when they do flips versus someone who does tricking. It's very unorthodox. Another example I could think of is Johnny Last Name, depending on which promotion. For the sake of this interview, we'll refer to them as Johnny Elite because that's their most recent incarnation.
That is true.
Yeah, Johnny Elite.
Actually, I think it's, sorry to interrupt, I think it's Johnny Hardy. I believe Johnny Last Name is teaming with Matt Hardy to fill in for Jeff, while Jeff is doing what he needs to do. So I think it's Johnny Hardy now.
Johnny Hardy. All right, for the context of the rest of the interview, so we don't struggle. Johnny Hardy. Yeah, Johnny Hardy, who brought parkour into professional wrestling. Now obviously there's been elements from these practices that's been present in wrestling prior to that, but as I've always wanted to be the person to lean in on the tricking aspect. So that was always my goal. My problem was I started tricking and pro wrestling at the same time when I was 250 pounds, obese. And so a lot of the techniques that I learned have been muddied by my body having such big mass, Right. So, it was never going to be me coming out with the cleanest techniques, which, it kind of serves my character as, like someone that's scrappy, don't really know how they're pulling it off, but here we are. Somehow I backflip, compared to like someone classically trained like in gymnastics and all that stuff. So, what some people would deem sloppy, I have embraced as something that is more flavored, as it were. So I don't have a background in Taekwondo like Mike Bailey, but we do practice the same kicks. The difference being that obviously when you watch Mike Bailey does their Taekwondo, it's very classic, very clean. It's pristine. Whereas with me, it's like, oh, that's actually very surprising that Ben was able to kick someone in the head, and I leaned in on that. I leaned in on the fact that I wasn't classically trained in all these very incredible feats of athleticism, of incredible feats of, acrobatics, because I wasn't.
Right.
And I don't have, it's one of those things, like, if I pretended that I was the best person to do the Phoenix Splash, no one would believe that because, Ninja Mac does it better. Other people, like Jack Evans, does it better. But when Kidd Bandit does it, there's that flair of like, oh, I don't know, there's a little bit of risk in there, like it always looks, and the illusion is because my head is like so thick because of my hair, it always looks like I'm spiking myself. It always looks like I'm taking my neck out.
Yeah.
Like 9 times, like here's where I ruin the magic for everyone. 9 times out of 10, I'm fine. Because this is a lot of hair.
Yeah.
So it looks like I'm getting decapitated, but in reality, I'm like, barely touched me, you know?
Yeah.
So,
And then that's where the art of selling comes in, which you're tremendously good at as well. I would like to add. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So there is also that, one of the, now that you brought it up, the art of selling is, I thankfully got it instilled in me that because of my physique, I have a certain role to fill in the art of professional wrestling. Now, I know my moniker is the protagonist,
Right.
but realistically, because of my build, like, I understand that I will not always be the main character of the card. And that's how I always approach wrestling as theater, which is a controversial take for many of my peers. I'm sorry, but that's how I view it. So because I view it as theater, I understand that if I'm not the main event, if I'm not the person that's front and center in the poster, I understand that my role for the night will be as a side character to enhance the show. Now, people might have come to the show to witness me, to specifically for myself, but if I were to position myself as the spotlight of the entire card, not only do I take away from my peers, I also take away from the main event, I take away from the show in general. And in order for us to create like the best experience for the fans, which is ultimately what wrestling is all about, we have to be very cognizant that we don't overstep our roles. So, I'm not always the main event, especially because I'm new. I've had the luxury of main eventing before a couple of times, and when I am main event, like, hey, yo, full production quality, I'm coming out with a big sword, I'm coming out with like lights, fog machine, let's go. But if I'm not the main event, I understand, okay, my placement of the card is this, therefore my role, is to get the crowd going. Oh, my placement of the card is after intermission. My job now is to bring back the audience, or my position in the card is comedy.
Yeah.
Why would I wrestle like my most technically advanced like Dean Malenko style match if I was brought into a promotion to do comedy? Because it is we are part of a production. Mm-hmm. The entire card is a production, and I don't need the spotlight outside of my match because the spotlight is on me during my match anyway.
Correct.
And intermission when I'm trying to sell merch, but I don't need to overstep where I'm at because, like I said earlier, it takes away from everything else. And so that's how I make myself stand out. I know my roles. I make sure that what I'm given, I make the most out of. I make sure I work tremendously with the people I'm in the ring with to create the best kinds of match. It's not, I don't approach it as like, oh, and this happens a lot in indie wrestling, unfortunately, because we are, in the truest form of the word, independent. It is on us to market ourselves to the audience, and I understand the thought process of it's difficult to market yourself to an audience if you're just getting your ass kicked.
Right.
So people don't want to sell. People would want to be all, I want to be strong. I want to get my cool moves in. Watch me do this, and I understand the thought process of that. Because when I first started my career, that wasn't exactly my thought process. And I ironically say that when I first started my career, when today is my 1 year anniversary of wrestling, so I haven't been doing this that long, right? But I happy anniversary.
Yeah.
Okay,
right, Pat.
That was awesome.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I had to make a little commotion for myself, but
for sure.
But yeah, I've had witness that not everybody wants to just get their ass whooped.
Right.
My thought process was because nobody wants to get their ass whooped because they want to seem strong. That way they can sell merch. That way they can connect better because it's harder to get your merch going if you're getting your ass whooped. My thought process is if I can make me getting my ass whooped entertaining.
Right.
Not not only do I have not to worry about like freaking, oh, check out this cool new move I have, which I always come up with moves anyway, right? So I don't have that problem. But like I don't have to worry about that anyway, because like, hey, they're gonna kick my ass, but you're gonna like it. You're gonna root for me, or you're just gonna enjoy watching me get my ass whooped. Why? Because I'm an entertainer, and ultimately, entertaining the fans is what it's all about. And it eliminates the problem of like, well, I need to get my offense in so I can look strong against my opponent, who obviously just also wants to look strong as well. Mm-hmm. I had the luxury of learning from one of my trainers, JTG, that, it's moments and emotion that fans really gravitate to. Not necessarily the high spots, the kicks, the flips, I mean, sure, do I have like a couple of signature moves that I came up with? I believe, yeah. But that's just something that I do because I'm a wrestler. I want to be unique. I want to be able to say that I contributed to the the ever-growing moveset arsenal of pro wrestling as a whole. But if my job isn't to do cool moves in the ring, my job is to entertain the crowd, and if I'm lucky enough, make them feel something. And that's my thought process. And I think that's really the very, very loaded answer to your question of how do I make myself stand out.
Well, I'm going to tell you what. I get it. I can see it. I can feel it right hearing you talk. It's coming right through, this Zoom, this interview. The chat is going crazy. Your wrestling IQ is off the charts. You mentioned JTG. You trained at the Nightmare Factory. You have been wrestling for a year today. Where is this just who you are? This mindset, this knowledge and IQ? Did you learn this from someone, or is it just who Kidd Bandit is?
I always fail. And that's such a stupid way to answer that question, but I swear I will elaborate.
Right.
My whole life, I usually like, I don't have the problem of like academically struggling on things, but I have this problem where I just like things kind of come naturally to me, but I get desensitized to things. So the room for improvement kind of goes away because I'm like, oh, I get it. Then I get complacent. Like, oh, like I understand how it works. I don't need to like improve myself further, right? But I have found that when I first started training, I was in a very dark space in life. I was obese morbidly. I was an alcoholic. I was in a very dark space, and it kind of became my refuge. Just going to training every day from Monday through Thursday at Santino Bros in LA. I would go at night, and initially, like, oh my God, by the way, the training was tough.
Yeah.
Everybody, like, we started out with like 27 people. Like, out of the 27 people, only 5 of us are like working the scene right now.
Insane.
Because everybody washes out from training because life happens. Because maybe the training's too tough. Maybe the money's not coming in. So it's a hard thing to manage. And when I first started training, I remember I put in $600 for the deposit for training. And at first, because I was out of shape, like the drills would kill me.
Yeah.
And they would kill me, and I would be like, yo, I should quit. Like, this sucks. I'm puking my guts out like 3 times a day. Why am I doing this? And then I remember I paid $600
$600 out of my pocket.
So I could have bought a PS5 of that, in this day and age, but I didn't. So you better commit. You better stick to it. And that was my goal. Like, just make that $600 investment worth it. And then the 600 turned to 900 because I have to pay the next month, and then the next month. Eventually, I sunk in like $1,000 on it, and I'm like, I can't quit now.
Yeah,
it's $1,000, and gradually I found that for the first time in my life, I was doing something that, even though I was understanding the concepts quite easy, I never wanted to stop learning. It was like the unbridled passion unbridled hunger of like just wanting to get better. And I thought that was cool because like that's never happened to me. I wanted, and I didn't come into wrestling because I wanted to be the best wrestler in the world. I wanted to do it because I've always wanted to do it. I didn't want to put it off any longer, and I didn't want to live a life of wondering if maybe I should, like, live a life of regret, like wondering what if I did it. And I've posted a picture before of how I lost the weight, how I used it to help with my sobriety, how I use it to escape like really bad like spaces in my head and life in general. So like, wrestling did turn my life around for the better. And, I don't want to get too sappy by saying that, but it's not an exaggeration. It became my creative outlet to keep me from bad stuff. And it carried over, to when I'm actually working. It's like, okay, like, I failed a lot in practice, but every time I got knocked down, I took notes, tried to improve what I fucked up on, and then I just kept going because there's nothing I could do about yesterday, but there's something I could do tomorrow.
For sure.
And with the notes I took, tomorrow is going to be a little bit easier, hopefully, So that's how I approach my career now. It's like I'm not afraid of failing. Okay, that's a lie. I'm afraid of failing. I'm very, very afraid of failing, but I don't shy away from it. Like
Right.
I'm very hypercritical of myself, but I understand that if I don't take anything away from my mistakes, then I'm not going to improve.
Right.
So, I cherish these mistakes because they are lessons that I can teach myself, which is a very positive way to look at that, but, so that's my personality, I guess, is just, I look at the craft of wrestling, not just the moves, but also how you connect with people, how you market yourself, the business side of things, how to approach people, how to connect with an audience. Every aspect of business I have approached as a learning experience because there's some things that you can't teach in wrestling school. Like, who the hell is going to teach you how to Twitter in wrestling school? Unless I run a wrestling school, right?
Right? Should be part of it.
But yeah. But if you think about it, like as an independent wrestler in this day and age, having a social media presence and being able to navigate this very terrifying waters of like the digital realm is such an integral part of like getting yourself out there, getting your name out there. And I think I am the number one like example of like how to use social media marketing to increase the reach of your brand, to create to raise your stock, as it were, but nobody in wrestling school would teach that. They'll teach you how to front bomb, they'll teach you how to bomb, they'll teach you how to suplex, they'll teach you all the fundamentals, they'll make you like the best technical wrestler in the world if you go to the right places. But unfortunately, not a lot of people teach like the other side of the business, which is how to properly approach promoters, how to weigh the pros and cons of like which promotion you should work for, should you fly yourself out for the show, and how cost effective it is versus like the return of investment that you're going to get off that, so in a very business mind aspect, nobody has that, at least in my experience, because I've done a lot of seminars, like nobody really talks about that. And it's good to know. I mean, like, dude, I think it's actually imperative for you to know how to wrestle. Like, the core grand scheme of things is very important for you to know the fundamentals and basics, because not only will that protect you as a performer, as in your name, brand, and your physical being, but also your opponent. Because like, if you don't know how to wrestle,
right,
you might kill somebody.
Yes.
But past that, you could be the best wrestler in the world and nobody will know about you because you only wrestled in like some random state that nobody's heard of about, that and it draws like 5 people. And that's the unfortunate fact, is that you need to get out there, but nobody teaches how to in 2022.
How to market yourself, for sure.
Exactly.
Well, you just recently today, as I was preparing for the show, put out, I think it was today, put out a tweet, basically, projecting what you are striving for to accomplish. And so I'm gonna read it. I'm either gonna read it or I'm gonna paraphrase, one of the two. You said you could try and get signed, by the big companies, whatever you may consider to be. You could be the next megastar like The Rock and Cena, or you can get so big and popular on your own, marketing yourself, doing what you're doing, your work ethic, your hustle, become a self-made megastar without any corporate backing through social media and content creation, and become so mainstream and undeniable that those major companies that produced The Rock and Cena will come to you because you can draw non-wrestling fans to their product, new fans you can bring. And that's your goal, is to be a star beyond wrestling. And you go on to say, would you turn a blind eye? Yes, that's the right saying. Would you turn a blind eye if they slid into your DMs? No, but I think I'm being honest.
I want to be rich.
You're right. Would I turn a blind eye if they slid into my DMs and say, "Hey, would you like to host a bump with Caleb Braxton?" I'd be like, "Yes." But I
won't even hesitate, Loki. if they come up, be like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah, me and Caleb, we got this, no problem. But I think the mindset in that tweet that you put out today, Kidd Bandit Pro across everywhere. By the way, the links are up. Is great because you're betting on yourself. One of your heroes, Cody Rhodes, bet on himself. Danhausen, when he finally got to where he is now, was betting on himself. And I just think that's just phenomenal stuff. And more people need to bet on themselves. More people need to have faith, confidence in themselves, market themselves. I don't have a question to go along with this. I just wanted to put that out there because I think that's positive shit.
Yeah. Go all in.
Go all in.
In your soul.
I got you. I hear you. Go all in. Speaking of the Nightmare Factory and Cody Rhodes, what's the biggest takeaway? What resonates the most with you from your time in the Nightmare Factory?
This is gonna be a loaded answer, but I think I can shorten it into, because I've been going off tangents and I apologize.
It's that's what makes this show is off tangent. That's what this show is. This is great. I'm having a blast. I hope you're having fun.
I'm having fun. I just don't. I don't want to be overstepping how much I want to say.
You're fine.
Okay. All right. To go back to your question, a lot of things were awesome about that. I can't really think of one bad thing. So if you're thinking of doing it, going to the Nightmare Factory, and this isn't me trying to plug the school. It is, but it's not, because I guess this isn't me being sponsored by the school to say this.
It's not an ad, but it could be.
Yeah, it's not, because I haven't been to the factory in almost a year now. The last time I stopped by there, it was to do mocap, But
for what?
Success story. Factory. I'm sorry.
Mocap for what? The game?
It was for Virtual Basement's the wrestling code, which this is also not an ad. I'm not sponsored by them.
I'm trying to get them on the show. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome. But yeah, I will say they're doing great work in the game. I can't wait for it to come out. I can't wait for all the hard work that went behind the scenes in Virtual Basement's part to actually come to fruition and show everybody a true love letter to independent wrestling and professional wrestling as a whole. Nice. It's a working part, the game itself.
Sweet.
Moving past that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. See, tangents. We both do them.
Yeah. Yeah, the Nightmare Factory. I haven't been there in a while. So like they're not twisting my arm to say this. This is just me saying from the bottom of my heart that it was one of the best experiences of my life. Not just because it was I was surrounded by all these all elite wrestlers that are like big names. It was an awesome experience because I was under the tutelage of people who, like they're not carnies.
Right.
And if you're not familiar with the term carny in wrestling, it basically means, they're not shady. There's no underlying agenda for their actions. It's all just genuine like desire of like you're gonna get as much of a benefit from everything they do and put out to you as much as you put in the effort for. And so if you're not willing to go out extra mile to like, learn things, market yourself, whatever, then you're not gonna get as much of a benefit, as you would anywhere else. But there's no agenda. There's no like holding anybody else down. There is no competition even, like you're competitive. It doesn't hurt to be competitive, but it's all friendly. And I thought that was the coolest thing because like, in an industry, what we do is showbiz.
Right.
And there's no like if you really want to like get technical about it, sports entertainment, yada yada, whatever. But at the heart of things, what wrestling is showbiz because it errs on the side of entertainment, less so on the side like even sports is showbiz. Like you hear LeBron James in the red carpet. Wow, look at their suit.
Yep.
Like oh look how they're like you get TMZ reporting about like oh this soccer player is wearing $20,000 shoes. Like sports is showbiz.
Sure is.
Entertainment is showbiz.
Yeah.
You merge two together, you get wrestling, and guess what? It's still showbiz. So, and I'm sure everybody has heard of the term like showbiz is probably like the most cutthroat like industry to get into. People would like backstab each other, burn every bridge to the top, and like that is true for wrestling. I'm lucky enough that I grew my brand independently by myself on Twitter and social media, so I didn't have to backstab anybody. I just kind of just had to post every single day until I went viral again, right? But I have seen very shady individuals in wrestling. I have seen backstabs. I have seen I've seen secret group chats where everybody would just like tear each other down and all that stuff. And in where I'm from, so it's like wow, like this sucks. But I never saw that in the Nightmare Factory because guess what? Like you're here to just wrestle.
Yeah.
You're here to get better in the craft, and that's extremely refreshing. That is especially coming out from like the speaking out movement.
Yep.
In wrestling,
sure.
like I went to the factory right around as the vaccine rolled out. So, this was where we were like probably like a couple of months removed from speaking out and stuff. And I wasn't like active on Twitter. Believe it or not, I was not active on Twitter before I debuted. I had like a Twitter account that I promoted the video game I'm developing for, which I just converted to my Kidd Bandit account, but that was it. That's all I did, and I didn't really know a lot of the people who were canceled because like I wasn't privy to that knowledge. I didn't dare deign myself to understand what was going on backstage because I didn't feel like that was my place yet because I was a trainee. I wasn't a worker. But, once I started doing my due diligence and researching people, like finding out like who's problematic and who's not, so I could be made aware at the very least be made aware of who to err on the side of caution around, like, yeah, like Twitter, like was not my playground, but like I blew up on Twitter because of Nightmare Factory.
Wow.
Because I went viral there, and from there it was like a gradual escalation exponentially from the Kidd Bandit brand because I was always posting. So was the Nightmare Factory expensive? Yes. But look what it did for me,
Right.
And that was my no, that was the number one takeaway. It was pure, you know, and there's so much to gain, and you don't really lose much in terms of like outside of like the investment that you put in monetary wise, you know.
Yeah. Now you went there. You weren't Kidd Bandit yet when you went there.
No.
No. Who donned you Kidd Bandit?
The kid part was because from where I'm from in Southern California, you know,
Yeah.
It wasn't one of those like, oh, people don't care about you kind of things, but I was a fan. I would go to the indie shows here. But I was like also the prototypical wrestling fan. Overweight, you know, scraggly beard, you know, didn't really care much for my hygiene back then because, you know, I was depressed. So, you know, indie wrestling was my outlet because I was kind of like a hipster, right?
Right.
And when I would meet these wrestlers, you know, I'd be like, "Hey, it's good to see you again." They would reply with, "Nice to meet you." I'm like, "You've met me last week," you know, like. So I was just kind of like kid to them.
Yeah.
You know, I was just, "Yo, what's up, kid?"
Yeah.
And you know, I hate to be bitter, but
Yeah.
I'm kind of petty. Like none of these people bothered to learn my name, even though I've said it so many times. So yeah, I'll wear kid like a badge of honor because guess what? Like soon, nobody will stop talking about my name. And the bandit part was because I was high, and then King of the Hill was playing at 2 a.m. There was a scene where Bobby Hill was naming his pet raccoon Bandit, and it felt like he was speaking to me.
Yes. Yes.
And he said the name Bandit. I was like, Bandit? I haven't heard the word bandit said in a modern context. That's my name. I'm Kidd Bandit. Let's go.
I remember that episode. That is great. Oh, well done. I did not know where that story was going. That's what makes it the best part. Wow. Jeez. Whew. AW Dark, we mentioned earlier, you had a phenomenal tag match on there with Fuego del Sol and his masked brother there. That was phenomenal. I enjoyed it tremendously. I also saw you at Effie's Big Gay Brunch. I wasn't there personally, but I watched it. You know, Effie speaks for himself. The whole Big Gay Brunch speaks for itself. So where am I going? Now I'm off topic here. AW, you finish your match, you walk through the curtain. Who's the first person that comes to you, or who do you seek out, and what advice is given?
It was Dustin Rhodes. They were in Gorilla with Tony Khan and Arn Anderson, and yeah, it was. I followed Dean Alexander, my tag partner, who, you know, he was with the vlog crew at the time, so he was more comfortable backstage than I was, and I was just like this scared little brightly haired colored kid that just like, you know, just did a whole ass match, and I'm like, well, crap. So I just followed Dean, and Dustin was giving us advice. You know, Arn was giving us advice, and it wasn't directed to me.
Right.
It was directed towards, in general, to the four of us that were in the match. But, you know, I wasn't going to be like, hey, you know, I know you've never met me, Arn. You know, I know you've never met me, Dustin, but can you critique me?
Critique
you know,
my
like,
match,
it was more
please.
of like, yeah, like, they had critiques for the match in general. If they happen to say something about my work, like, I'll make a mental note. But I wasn't going to overstep. Like, that this is a recurring theme tonight. I don't want to overstep. I don't want to overstep my position as an enhancement talent backstage in a company that's like multi-million dollars next to all these like multi-million dollar performers. You know, I'm just going to listen. If they happen to have to say anything about me, cool, right? If not, like, you know, I'll take the notes they said for someone else and see if it applies to me, whatever. And so that's what I did. Went up to, I believe Daniel Garcia, you know, came up to, walked by me and said, I like your spin kick. I'm like, yes. So keep doing spin kicks. Nice.
There you go. Mental note.
Yeah, mental note. Brian Danielson, was there,
Yeah.
nodding when I walked by them, so that was cool. I was like, whoa, lit. Like, okay, approval, sign of approval. Tony Khan was there, said it was good, but whether or not they were just being cordial or they actually genuinely felt that way, remains to be seen. I'll ask them if I ever see them again. Yeah, that was my experience. I wanted to talk to Cody, and but I didn't want to swarm them because
Right.
this was when Cody was the vice president of the company, but they did have an advice for me at the end of the day when I was able to pull them aside. I was like, "You have anything for me, Coach?" And I remember their advice was try to enjoy yourself out there more, because I think they realized I was very nervous, and rightfully so. I was
Right.
only 3 months in my career, and I'm wrestling my
Insane.
favorite wrestler of all time. So like, what the fuck? Like, come on, cut me some slack, Coach. Like, But that was his advice. He was just try to enjoy yourselves more, because it was cool that I was being very mindful of like call the spots, make sure you're selling to the camera, make sure you do everything right by the textbook. That because I was trying to be so textbook that I might have inadvertently drained the actual passion
Right.
out of it, because it's such a hard line. It's hard to explain too, but as a performer, there's textbook performers who will perform, like, I'm not just talking about wrestling, I'm talking about just in performance in general. There's textbook performers that click all the right boxes at the technical standpoint, and you appreciate them for that.
Yeah.
They're like, wow, like great work, being perfect. And then there's performers who are definitely not technical masters. Their star shines bright because of how incredibly like flamboyant or eccentric or ludicrous they are, to the point. Like, so like, I guess like the spectrum is like, you have the ones that have it like down to a T, and you have the ones that don't have it down to the T, but everything they do is so outside the box that like you can't help but be mesmerized by it. And I feel like between the two spectrums, I err more to that side.
Yeah.
Because that's who I am as a person in general anyway. Like, I mean, look at me. But during that performance, I was more on the side of like, I went through the motions because I'm on TV, lots of pressure, don't want to fuck up,
Yeah.
So I wasn't just my genuine self. I was someone portraying Kidd Bandit. I wasn't being Kidd Bandit. So that's how I took that advice. Whether or not that's what they meant, I mean, I'll ask Cody when I see him again. But yeah.
And you'll see Cody again somewhere. You will. It will happen. I mentioned Effie's Big Gay Brunch. That was during WrestleMania weekend in Dallas. It was friggin' phenomenal. That event is always great. That actually, not this past year, the year before, the one that they had during like the COVID time.
Chicago, right?
Yeah. That's when I got introduced to independent wrestling. I wasn't a big independent wrestling fan until like COVID hit, and I had to be home, and started doing some writing for Wrestling News World. I amped up this show. Vanessa, who books all the shows, she's here tonight, introduced me to independent Canadian wrestling, and then just explored my horizons. So I knew it was a great show. I watched it, and then I watched you this past at WrestleMania weekend. I'm going to apologize in advance to everyone out there watching, but I'm going to bring it into a serious moment for a second, because speaking of Twitter, around this time, you tweeted something about an incident that happened during WrestleMania weekend. You called it Hell Week. I talked about persevering and pushing through and being inspirational. We don't need to get into any of the details. That's up to you. It's not me. But it was something shitty happened to you that weekend. Really fucking shitty. What I want to know, and you were, I believe, like ready to call it. Like, I mean, not only just retire, but you were down. You were not in a good place. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay.
No, yeah.
And what I really want to know is what you persevered through it. You pushed through and you got through it. What was it that helped you get through it? What were you clinging to? What you mentioned before when in I think it was around in 2018 you were obese and you depressed and alcoholic, and wrestling got you through that. What was it this time around with Hell Week?
Um, yeah, I think I got back on Twitter when I wasn't really ready.
Yeah.
You know, I knew I was gonna come back because I love wrestling. Like I wasn't gonna just get away from it. You know, I think because of my hormones and just everything going on in general, it got to my head and I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever, you guys win. Like, it was one of those like flip the table moments,
Right.
and it's actually kind of very validating to talk to people who made it in the business.
Right.
And I'm not gonna name their names because they did reach out to me privately, but they opened up about how everybody has moments like these. It probably just happened to me very fast because I blew up very fast, you know, which is like it circles back to your question earlier where like do I think it happened way too fast for me? Yeah, because of that incident, you know, because I never had time to properly acclimate to this new lifestyle. I still am. And I do acknowledge that that's probably part of my charm is that everybody's witnessing someone transform into a micro celebrity right before their eyes.
Yeah.
And you see me clinging to being as down to earth as possible. Cause no matter how hard a celebrity tries to be relatable, there will always be that rift between them and the people that follow them. Because after a certain point in their lives, the issues that they, you know, that they could relate to fans, they no longer suffer that at the same magnitude as everybody else because they live lives of luxuries because they have money, which, you know, I do admit that money does make a lot of the problems in life a lot easier.
Yeah.
You know, you can't buy happiness, but you can buy things, or you know, like it's true wealth isn't the money, but the things that it can afford. That's, you know, and that extends to bills, to helping others, you know, to all that stuff. I like money, so
We all do.
yeah, I'm adjusting, and everybody's seeing me adjust, and everybody kind of understands that I don't like the idea of being above everybody else, because the moment I start feeling that way is the moment I lose that special connection with other people, you know. But I also don't want to turn away from all the luxurious stuff that, you know, fame and glory affords, because like, hey, I'm a human being. If I want to go to Disney World off the money I've made off, like, you know, people signing autographs, I absolutely will go to Disney World, because like, you know, I want to enjoy the finer things in life, because life is about pursuing happiness and, you know, all that. So I went off on a tangent here.
That's
but
okay. I'm thinking about Disney. I'm thinking of Disney World now.
I've never been, so
you'll love it.
that's the goal. Yeah.
You'll love it.
But to circle back to that, like, what helped me get through? It was thanks to a lot of these popular wrestlers, you know, who kind of like, oh my god, like, you're talking to me, like, you've been through this, like, and you got through it, and they probably went through it in like worse ways than I did, because my stuff was bad, but like, it was also because I'm just an indie wrestler.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that the scale it happened to me isn't going to be at the scale that someone who was signed to a major company would go through. It got a lot of traction while I was gone. Like, everybody would talk about it, and I remember thinking to myself, like, I don't care about the attraction. I don't care about that because like this is the wrong kind of attraction. This is me showing the world that bad people won.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those moments in like movies where I had the luxury of performing in a very familiar area during that time. I wasn't gonna stop wrestling. This is also, as much as I make money out of it, it also helps me get out of like bad temptations. Like it helps me be productive. I was able to talk to people who helped me understand that this business is just like that. It can be very harsh, and if I quit, I let the bad people win.
Yeah.
And so I had a fan pass away, and they it didn't happen during the time where I was gone, but it happened a little bit before that. And I remember I got a message from someone that was close to them saying, "Hey, look, they tragically passed away, but in the short amount of time I've been in their life, apparently I made a difference, enough of a difference to actually warrant someone close to them to message me and say, hey, look, like, like I had something good in someone's life." And that's when it hit me. It's like, I'm not a moves wrestler. I'm not like, I'm never going to be like a body wrestler either because, my body's changing. But like, I was lucky enough to be in a position that I could help brighten people's lives. Like, holy shit. Like, what the fuck, And now people are kind of counting on me, and it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And people would tell me now, like, they'd say, like, you're a bandit, you need to take care of yourself, you're important to people now. And I'm like, oh, why? But also, Spider-Man 1, with great power comes great responsibility and shit, right? And this is now my responsibility, and to just walk away from it and let the bad people win, like, that just goes against everything I am. I think I did come back to the business way before I was mentally ready, but like the outpour support from people just was like, yeah, no, like I can't do it on my own, but I don't have to because I got people who were rooting for me, so that's what got me through it. Sorry for being sappy about that.
No apology needed or necessary. Like I said, I think I said very early in our conversation, you're inspirational, and obviously you're touching people's lives, you're making a difference, and I mean that's what it's all about. So enough of that. Enough. There, we got through that. I wanted to ask that. We got. I'm gonna get to the end. I got some stuff to promote here. I have written down. But I'm gonna go off of the wrestling path for a bit. And then wrap up here. Because I like to do it that way. You're a big cosplayer.
Yeah.
We've had oh gosh, Vert Vixen was on here. She's big into cosplay. Yeah.
I was just talking about Vert Vixen earlier today. Just because I was thinking of going to GameStop.
And pops in your head.
What, yeah, Vert Vixen was one of the hosts of like the TV monitor.
That's right. GameStop. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, for sure. What were you going to GameStop for?
Steam sale.
Oh yeah, of course. What was that?
I was gonna buy a Steam card,
there
but I opted, and also because I'm trying to set up my entire streaming room, but like, you know, I opted to just stay lazy and stay at home and buy everything online.
Hey, nothing
So,
wrong with that.
yeah.
Cosplay, it's a big thing. I'm not the most versed in it. I have gone to PAX East a couple times, and some of my dear friends do it. It's very intricate. But my question for you is, one, have you cosplay as Sailor Moon?
Now, let's just say, stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Do you enjoy Sailor Moon?
Okay, so I did as a kid.
Okay.
And like I watched the Filipino dub of it, so it was weird.
Does
But-
sound weird. You're from the Philippines, for
yeah,
those keeping
it's
score at home.
Yeah. So yeah, it was weird, you know, but I enjoyed it as a kid. Because I did watch it in that context, like the plot might be different
Right.
compared, you know, because like the Filipino dub does take liberties on how they present like certain storylines for censorship like reasons. So yeah, I did enjoy it as a kid. I remember bits and pieces off it. I did kind of circle back to it like very recently because like they had like a HDA version of it that came out, but it was one of those animes that I played in the background while I was like working on like, you know, Photoshop or whatever. So like, you know, like bits and pieces of like the plot or the interactions with like, you know, I'd piece together, but it was what I like to call it peripheral shows for me. You know, where I just had it play in the background, you know, trying to keep up if I can, but no, like I'm not gonna like cry myself to sleep if I can't, like, you know, keep up with the plot. But yeah, I do enjoy it.
It is a loaded question. I'm leading you down. We've had Crystal Moon.
Oh gosh.
We've had Crystal Moon on this show, independent Canadian wrestler. She's phenomenal. Sailor Moon fan. And on the show when she was on, she sang the theme song. So we were wondering, one, do you think you know it well enough to sing it?
No, I don't. I
Okay.
don't because the first of all, the last time I watched Sailor Moon was when I was a kid, and
Yeah.
second of all, and I'm gonna get canceled for this, but I watched the HD remake on a pirated website.
Oh, how dare you! How dare you!
As a true anime fan, you know, we've all had to do it once in a while, and I had my site that I would just, okay, it's gonna autoplay the next episode, and didn't have the intro.
It did not. That makes sense. Hey, that's fine. When I asked you and you explained it to me how it's peripheral, I was like, you know, maybe I shouldn't ask them if they want to sing the song, but I did anyways. But
If it's Naruto, I could probably do it.
You could sing that theme song. I don't even know it. I won't even know if it's right.
Yeah, Naruto is like the one I listen to a lot. My playlist, workout playlist, is a lot of anime songs.
Okay.
So but it's more modern anime songs. So Naruto, I could do Black Clover. Probably Attack on Titan if if it was playing in the background. Death Note, definitely. You know, and it's gonna be broken Japanese. Like, it's just me like trying to figure out what they said actually, because like I am not fluent in Japanese. There is a version of the Naruto opening, this third one, that I could sing in English because there is great English covers of these songs. You know, so yeah, I'm not a good singer.
Okay. All great stuff though. I gotta learn more about this anime. I'm not versed in it, but I know a lot of wrestlers are. I've had several on. I have been, and I need to get versed in my anime. I'm looking at my list now to see where I want to go next. Speaking of music, you were an aspiring musician at one time.
Once upon a time.
Once upon a time. It's like being an independent wrestler, traveling the world.
I never did travel as a musician.
I was right.
14 in a high school band. So, do we want to count that?
Yes,
I don't know.
we do. Um, and then the last thing, non-wrestling related, I wanted to inquire about was acting school. I heard you on another podcast. I'm sorry for whatever podcast it was where you brought this up. My apologies. But you had talked about enrolling in an acting school and working on that. Obviously, that can probably help you tremendously in the ring and outside the ring. How's that going?
Intimidating because I'm surrounded by a bunch of theater kids
Right.
or people who would background in theater or acting in general, and I'm coming in with a background in performance art. It's not quite the same, and I haven't told anyone that I'm coming in from pro wrestling background. I haven't even told anybody I was on TV, in a pro wrestling capacity. I just say, yeah, I have a background in something, yeah, because it's something entirely foreign.
Right.
You did bring it up a while ago, like, hey, my goal is to be a star beyond wrestling.
Right.
Now, one thing that drives people nuts, and it drives me nuts, is celebrities in WrestleMania.
Ooh, interesting.
That take away from positions of talent. For example, like we have, if WWE was to host WrestleMania in LA, I already know there's gonna be a bunch of celebrity matches, which means that like very talented, like lower card, mid card, or even upper card wrestlers are not gonna have a spot in the main card because they have to make room for the celebrity, because of the market that they reach in mainstream media. Like for example, if I don't know, Mark Wahlberg was in a WrestleMania match next year
Could
against
easily
like
happen. That could easily happen.
against like Drew McIntyre. Boom!
Right.
Like every Mark Wahlberg fan, everybody that watched like the Mark Wahlberg movie, everybody who's even heard of a Mark Wahlberg movie, they might not even like Mark Wahlberg, but they watched Ted when they were a kid. They're gonna be like, oh, what? They're wrestling what's this person? A Scottish Viking? What the fuck? And then there's gonna be eyes in there. They might not stay for the entire WrestleMania card. They might not even stay for like the entire match, but there will be some eyes on the product, which means that it's why they brought in Snooki that one WrestleMania to be with like Johnny Hardy. Just
Yeah.
I brought that example up just to go do
Back
a callback
to Johnny Hardy. Yeah.
just to circle back.
Yeah, you know how to work a
but yeah,
match. You know how to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, pro wrestling will always it will always crave that mainstream media crossover appeal because, no matter how hard wrestling tries, it will always fulfill a niche audience because everybody's going to be into it. They would be like as a Hollywood star because Hollywood is weird in that like you might not be a fan of an actor, but if the actor is in the show that you like, you have no choice but to watch the actor. You might not enjoy the performance, but you will be like, wow, okay, like they're there, cool. Wrestling on the other hand, like, people can go out of their way to avoid it because they might say, oh, it's fake, oh, whatever, so WWE always tries to cross over to that. And not just WWE, I think every major promotion would love to have that mainstream media crossover, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I did acting school, one, because I want to do better at performing as a wrestler because I do consider it as acting, and two, because I want to be in movies. I want to be a good actor. I want to be on TV show, whatever. I want to cross over to that mainstream media line. Now I hate to use them as an example, but the Paul brothers, they did it off YouTube. That one girl that did the Cash Me Outside thing, she did it off Dr. Phil.
Oh, yeah. Who was that?
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't either. But I know who you're talking about.
But yeah, there's enough people who get viral famous doing something that they're able to cross over to the mainstream media because they become the hot topic, they become the talk of the town, and they can they use that popularity to like build their brand exponentially to the point where there's just like, yeah, they're a celebrity, TMZ will cover them, whatever. And WWE loves people like that.
Yeah.
And in fact, WWE doesn't even want pro wrestlers, from what they put out recently when it comes to like people trying out for the product, right? And AEW is signing a lot of really talented wrestlers that are like next level caliber that I can't even begin to comprehend competing against. You know, all these other wrestling promotions, they're looking for the next big thing. I have, and this is arrogant to say, but I have to recognize it. I have the opportunity to create a new path to stardom in wrestling and trailblaze the path of just get as popular as fucking possible to the point where like shit, like I can't believe they were a wrestler, but they never got signed, and yet they're a famous celebrity now. Because every famous wrestler that we think about was at one point part of a major company.
Yeah.
But if I could be the first one to like, hey, I didn't, need a major company to become a major star. I did it on my own. Now, if hey Tony, Vince, if you're listening, that's not a dig on you guys. Like, if you guys want to sign me, shit. Like, hey, I'm hey, let's talk business. But but I think it's really cool to aim for the stars.
Right.
Just aim for the stars, because even if I miss, I land on the moon or whatever. Or shoot for the moon, aim for the stars. I fucked up that adage, but that's the goal. I just, dude, like, they can't. After a certain point, they just can't be like, yo, like, we got Kidd Bandit, who obviously loves wrestling. It's way better than grading like Cardi B, who probably like hasn't even heard of wrestling since like unless it's in passing and shit. So
Excellent. I can see that. Star.
Sorry, that was like a loaded answer, and it was like the final question.
No, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's been a phenomenal time, but I'm gonna wrap up here. I don't want to. I'd be remiss if I forgot to mention. I correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's Northeast Wrestling on July 29th.
Yep.
I have that written down. I don't know where it is, but I do know Garden State Pro Wrestling on August 27th at the Monroe Sports Center versus one of my favorite wrestlers, Sonny Kiss.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. And I think the best part about that is I have a lot of time to prepare.
Yes.
Now, Sonny, they're incredible. But I've been watching Sonny since like Lucha Underground. Nobody can prepare for me because it's been like 12 months?
Yeah.
Look at how I was 12 months ago versus where I'm at now.
Not the same person.
Tremendous chaos and mayhem. Now I got a couple of months to prepare to be as unpredictable as possible. How are they going to prepare for that? I can prepare for them. They can't prepare for me. That's all I'm saying. Maybe I'll spin twice. Maybe I'll spin thrice. Who knows? Who knows how many times I'll spin before I kick? So
Spectacular.
We'll it's gonna be fun.
Kidd Bandit, you've been an absolute pleasure to have on.
Thank you.
I've had a blast. I had stuff I didn't get to, but I like to leave things.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's not you. It's me. I do it on purpose. I leave it on the table so we can have you back. But at the end of the show, I give the quote-unquote proverbial mic to the guest. You can put over anything you want. You can bury anything you want. You can say anything you want. I will not interrupt. The floor is yours.
Crap.
Best part.
I've been talking like nonstop, like for the last like I don't know how long. Yeah. But like as soon as you said just talk, I'm like, oh crap. Thank you for having me. I think I talked enough. I don't know. Follow me on Twitter if you want to get bugged by notifications that I did something funny again. New cosplay coming out soon. Yeah, there you go.
Spectacular. Fun. Kidd Bandit Pro across all social media platforms, by the way. Awesome. Been a pleasure. You're welcome back anytime. The door is open. Have yourself a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Yeah. Take care. Peace.
I'm sorry I went ham.
Hey.
I just go off on tangents.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's what we're live. It's what the show is. So you're good. Have a great night.
All right, have a good night. Thank you.
Peace.